Where's that on? Charger. Hi everyone, my name is Jess and I'm back today with another reading vlog, this time for Renegades by Marissa Meyer. If you don't know what my reading vlogs consist of, I've done a couple already, so I'll link those down below so you can watch them. But my reading vlogs basically consist of when I'm reading a book, every so often, as I've sort of read it, I will pick up my camera and just talk about it as I'm going along, so there will be spoilers. I've never read anything by Marissa Meyer before, but if you don't know, Renegades is a sci-fi YA novel that takes place in a world where at some point in the future, I believe, people that are called prodigies who have like superpowers, a group called the anarchists take over the world because they're sick of being treated badly by like normal people. So these are called the anarchists, and they're basically like the typical baddies, and they just made the world into ruin. All these villain gangs came up and everything just fell apart. And then out of this sort of horrible time, a group called the Renegades then rose up, which was another group of prodigies, and they are like the superheroes, and they made everything better again, and they brought back sort of government and like order and justice and all that sort of thing. So the story is currently taking place after this has all happened, and a girl called Nova, whose past led her to becoming an underground sort of anarchist, she's trying to take down the Renegades. And also it follows Adrian, who is a up-and-coming renegade trying to prove himself, and how their lives sort of intertwine, and that's the premise of it. Just a warning, throughout this whole reading vlog there will be spoilers. I'm just going to be talking about what's happened as I'm reading it, and there will be spoilers, so if you haven't read it, maybe go away, read it, and then come and watch this again, or if you really don't care, just continue watching as normal. But yes, I basically started this a couple of days ago. I'm now on page 120, so chapter 9. So I've read about a fifth of it so far. I do have some thoughts so far. So I'm going to start off with the things that I liked about it, and at the moment I love the world building. It's so interesting and different. I also love the writing style. I'm really into it. I've never read, like I said, I've never read anything by Marissa Meyer before, but I'm enjoying it, and I think she's very talented so far. Also, the whole feel of this book is so, it's like the wrong word, but comical. It just feels, and in my head looks like a comic book. Everything about it, from the like exaggerated baddies to the exaggerated goodies and the powers that everyone has, they're so like out of this world and crazy, and like the characters are so exaggerated that it just screams comic book to me. And it's really interesting to feel that feeling but while reading a novel, if that makes sense. So like in my head, you know, I can see that this being, if this was made into a movie, it would be like a bad animation with like really tight costumes and bright colours and like all the pow 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 and like all that sort of thing, and I'm really into it. Like, it's so different. Like the characters especially are so black and white at the moment. It's very like good versus bad, and even though you are reading about the bad side and you can see their characters and like you know who they are and you feel for them, you also know that they are bad. And there was some things that I didn't like so far, and that is, one, the amount of characters that we're being introduced to. I struggle to keep track of loads and loads of characters, especially if they're all introduced at once. And when I open this book, the first thing you see is a cast of characters, and it has a whole page full of everyone's like normal names and then their superhero names and their powers, and I was like, I'm not gonna remember any of these. Obviously I'm getting better at remembering them as time goes on because I'm getting more introduced to the characters, but I did struggle with that, and I think that's kind of poor character writing, is that if you just shove everyone in, because it is hard to keep up with. So that's one of the things that I just struggle with. I'm also not looking forward to a romance. Like, anyone who knows me in real life knows that this is not like me at all, but I can just sense there's a romance coming on at some point, and I'm just not into it. Like, I don't know, if it's a good romance and if it feels natural, I'll change my mind, but at the moment I can't see it feeling very natural. And I don't know, I know the characters that are supposed to be having a romance, I'm assuming, is Nova and Adrian, but I don't know, it feels very weird at the moment, and I'm hoping it gets better if they do have a romance and that is more natural and it feels better, but at the moment I'm like, nah, don't do that. Just, I want to read about the superheroes. I love the powers, they're so weird. Everyone's superpowers are just so weird and like messed up. I'm gonna be carrying on with this and I'll let you know how I get on. It is well hot. Don't mind me, I just have been meaning to film this little bit of my reading vlog for like many days. Still reading Renegades by Marissa Meyer. I'm currently on page 332, which is a lot after the last time I spoke to you. I haven't had many updates to talk about. My opinions like stayed the same of the book so far. I still really like the characters, like how Nova's personality like reflects what she's been through, and like it makes sense that she is who she is, and I like the sort of dynamics of the team. And okay, once again, I'm just gonna say it, the romance still feels a bit forced to me. Like, I'm not loving it, but then again, I'm not loving romance a lot at the moment in books, so I don't know, it feels a little bit forced and a bit like, eh. I could do without it, like, just give me the action. Like, I love the action sequences, I think they're really, really good. I'm still loving the writing style. The library scene, so I've just finished the library scene. Oh no, I'm still like in it. Okay, so it's still happening. And like the beginning of it confused me because I was like, why would the, spoilers, why would the librarian's granddaughter like not know to act as if Nova was like a renegade, you know, like why was she being so weird? And then obviously now it makes sense because, oh my god, what is her name? Ingrid is a little bitch. Like, why is she gotta be like that? I don't really understand what she was trying to do. I know she like wants her revenge and all that sort of thing, but like killing 3 of the renegades that are on like a teeny small team by ruining a whole library, like, I don't know, that seems very stupid. And I don't know if that's supposed to be a reflection of like her character, because she's like got explosive character, you know, because she's the detonator. I don't know, it seemed dumb. And the librarian, like, I get him. That scene where he's like, the building's on fire and he's like trying to get all the books out is me, to be honest. But yeah, I don't know. So good and bad, like, it's in no way bad. I'm really enjoying it. I love the comic aspects of it, how exaggerated everything is. Like, I can just see it in my head, and I'm having a great time reading it, to be honest. I haven't felt this like into a story in a long time, and I feel like I'm going through it really quickly, which I love. I love when you just don't even notice how much you're reading until you sort of look back. Like, I am a long way through right now. I have like the smallest amount left. I don't know, I'm really enjoying it. There was something else I wanted to say, and that was the fact that, okay, so Nova's had this whole life of being an anarchist, like underground, no one really knowing who she is, like her whole alias of like nightmare and that sort of thing. Like, so she's had a whole life of doing that, like the past like 10 or so years. You would think she'd be better at faking this other life, you know, because she's pretending to be like Nova McClane. Like, her whole life has been hiding in the shadows and like pretending to be things that she's not, and just keeping a low profile. Like, why is she so bad at this? I don't know, I feel like you would have prepared a lot more. Like, you would have studied the whole backstory and like have everything in order. I don't know, when she like messes up, I feel like it's just there for like comedy's sake, and it's like not even that funny, you know what I mean? So that kind of annoys me, how bad she is at keeping her story together. I am wearing a top, just FYI. I just finished the scene where Nova goes into Max's quarantine and like passes out, and then the revelation that after she comes out she realizes like, where did he get the levitating power from? And Max got the power from Ace, her uncle, and I'm like shook. I didn't even consider that, and like I definitely did not see that coming. Max is such a cool character, like, can I just say, he is really interesting. But whoa, like, so Max killed her uncle, but she likes Max, and like obviously it would be him, because obviously Nova, like, she can't get revenge on him, you know? So like, oh my god, I'm like shook. That whole scene was insane. And now I'm sort of getting the romance, although it is very late on to be getting, you know, just hints of romance between Adrian and Nova. Like, I don't know, it's very slow, and I like that. It's not unrealistic at this point. I'm tired and I'm rambling, but like, wow, that was such a good scene. Ignore my face and the fact that it looks like I haven't got a top on, but I've just reached chapter 37, which is on page 469. And like a few things have happened. So the thing with Max, that whole situation, I feel like Nova's going to be caught out real soon. Either Max is going to realise he has Nova's power and he's going to connect the dots and freak out and tell someone, namely Adrian, or the fact that Nova put, oh my god, what's her name? Monarch? With the butterfly? Dana. I feel like because she put her to sleep in the medical ward, Dana's going to wake up and know instantly what happened. She's not stupid, you know, like someone's gonna figure out, and obviously I'm very near the end of the book, like I'm less than 100 pages away. I'm very tempted to stay up reading it tonight, to be honest. But that's my prediction, like it's gonna happen one of two ways, and also she's gonna try and break into the warehouses downstairs and find her uncle's helmet, which we've just found out is still intact and wasn't actually taken by the Renegades. Like it is still down there, it's still intact and it still works, although I'm not actually sure what works means. Like, what does the helmet actually do? I'm literally so excited to finish this. I feel very accomplished. I finished Renegades a few days ago now. I have had a little bit of time to sort of sit and think about what my final thoughts on it were. I didn't have really time to film this last clip, but okay, so these are going to be my final thoughts. I've written down quite a lot of notes for this last bit. My feelings have kind of changed since I finished it, and I don't know how my feelings are going to still develop coming up to like when I read the sequel and like all that sort of thing. I am going to pre-order Arch Enemies, which is the sequel coming out in November, I think it is, which is very exciting. But my final rating is going to be a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I had a great time reading it. It was very different to any YA that I've read before, and I'm really into the superhero like mood at the moment. I love Marvel, I'm kind of into DC, like I really am into it lately, and I liked that aspect of this being a YA book because it's very different to anything I've read before. And this is my first introduction to Marissa Meyer, and I can safely say that she did impress me. I like the writing style, it was very easy to read, even though this book generally intimidated me quite a lot. But now I'm going to get into sort of my in-depth feelings about it and specific events. The first thing I had written down was that when I finished Renegades, I went back onto Goodreads and I read a few spoiler-full reviews just to see what other people thought about it. And a lot of them were saying that they didn't like the dialogue style and a lot of the aspects of the story because it felt very cheesy, and it was very yeah, cheesy. I think that was the main thing, and a lot of people were like, it just sounds really weird and fake because of the names of the heroes are just like not very original, they're very basic. And the thing that I thought straight away when I started reading it, the character names and the dialogue between the characters is very basic and comical. That's what I've been saying this whole time. I love that style, and to me, I mean I can't speak for Marissa Meyer, but I believe that was intentional. So everyone that's sort of complaining about it, I think it was intentional. It's supposed to be cheesy and it's supposed to just be like the most exaggerated hero versus villain style. Towards the end, there was a whole sort of bit, I can't remember where it started, but it started very suddenly and then it continued on to the end. There was this whole extra sort of narrative. I think it started with a conversation between Adrian and Nova about the differences between heroes and villains, and how normal people fit into that world, and how Nova believed that the normal people that weren't prodigies were becoming lazy and complacent because heroes were taking over and doing everything. So when people were in need, they just took a step back and were like, oh, the heroes will handle this. And that opinion of hers was very almost out of the blue, I think, and some of the things that Nova did were very out of character. Like, so this character that I built up in my head of her, this guarded, you know, scary, mature villain, even though she's young, that's what she is. She's a villain. She was trained to be a villain, and a lot of the time she did things that really weren't very villainous, and things that just went against everything she would have been told growing up. So sometimes I did disagree with how the character did things that were out of character, but obviously she's not my character, so it's just my opinion. Another thing that I really liked was the like hierarchy of knowledge in this book, which by that I mean how we as the audience knew a lot of things that were going on. So we would have sort of one chapter from Nova's point of view where we know who she really is and her backstory and the fact that she's keeping secrets, and then we also saw Adrian's point of view with his secrets of being the Sentinel and all that sort of thing. We knew both of these things, but there were also things that we still didn't know. I liked how that balanced out, because we felt, you know, because it's third party, I was about to say, written in third person, you sort of feel like you should know everything because you're like looking over the whole situation and you're like God. But Marissa and I did a great job of still keeping us out of the know with certain things, especially with Ingrid and her plans, which I'll get onto in a second. But yeah, it felt very interesting to know a lot of things and be like, oh yeah, I know what's gonna happen because I can see this from above, but then we still don't know certain things. As for Ingrid, did we really think she wasn't gonna double cross Nova in the end? Like, that was so dumb. Like, I know that Nova didn't really have a choice but to work with her and do the whole plan at the end, but that was so dumb to me. Like, I don't know why Nova didn't think to double cross her first. I know they were friends and everything, but I don't know, it just, the whole thing could have been handled differently and I would have written it differently. I was expecting that the end of the book was going to be Nova's identity coming out as Nightmare through either Max when he gained her power to put people to sleep, or through Ingrid, that she was gonna out her somehow, or Dana, was it Dana? When Nova put her to sleep in the medical wing, I thought she was gonna wake up and be like, holy shit, that's Nightmare. But that didn't happen. It might happen in the sequel, I don't know. But the ending was an interesting one. I still can't really decide whether or not I liked it. The ending where it turns out that Ace Anarchy is possibly alive, possibly a ghost or something like that, that his helmet is still intact and kept in a warehouse underneath the, whatever they're called, Renegade place. It's still safe, it's still intact, it still works. I still don't know what the helmet does. I can't remember. I don't know if I skipped that part by accident or if I just forgot or it wasn't in there at all. Don't know what his helmet does. Why can't he do anything without his helmet? No idea. But he is still alive somehow and hiding in a tomb underneath something. I can't really remember, but he's still alive and he's still there, which I've written down that I will need to read the sequel Arch Enemies to find out if that ending was just sort of put in there for shock value or if it was actually planned all along, because I have this just weird feeling that it was not planned, because the whole time you are led to believe that Nova has lost everything in her life. She lost her parents and her sister, and then she loses her uncle, the one that took her in, and that is the way that we are led to believe the whole way through. That's why she is the way she is. That's why she lives with these people that are villains, and they are her family, because she has no family left. And I don't know, the ending was just very very unexpected to me. Personally, people might have been able to predict it other than me, but I definitely couldn't. And just so unexpected that it was like, oh, that's where you're gonna go with it? Like, really? Like, I don't know. Like, I can already sort of see where Arch Enemies is gonna go. We're gonna have Ace come back, we're gonna have the Renegades come back, there's gonna be a huge battle, and the kids are gonna be stuck in the middle, and that's clearly what's going to happen. I just don't know if that's what I really want to read. Also, one more thing about Renegades was that the romance definitely grew on me. I knew it would, and I liked how it was still very subtle and in the early stages. Towards the end of the book, I was expecting at any point for them to like kiss and for things to pick up, and it would be like a whirlwind romance, and Nova would be like caught between the boy she loves and her history, blah blah blah. But that didn't happen, and I really actually liked that. I really liked how there was just still tension and questions of what's going to happen. Is something going to happen? Is it not? I liked it. I'm happy with where that was, and that was the thing I was most worried about for this book. But overall, I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, and I really did enjoy it. I have some problems with it, but when I read the sequel, you know, maybe I'll just be blown away and be like, this all makes sense now, everything is perfect. And that's all for this reading vlog. I hope you enjoyed it. I know it was probably a bit long, but I enjoy making these, and I'm going to enjoy looking back on them in the future, I think, so I'm probably going to keep doing them every so often. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and also subscribe for more bookish content in the future. It really would mean the world to me if you did that. And if you have anything to say about Renegades, if you have any opinions or anything you want to share with me or any questions, just ask them down below in a comment. Yeah, that's all I have to say. So I will see you next time. Bye!